Yeah, welcome to another episode of Arts Place, conservative talk from another view. Welcome, everybody, and also welcome to my esteemed co host, Lloyd Mendenhall, who finally showed up, which is great. Good to see you, Lloyd. How you doing?
Well, I'm okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay. I'm on my cell phone because my computer is still trying to start. So I thought I'm going to try this on the cell phone. So that's where
Okay.
I'm at.
All right. Well, welcome. We'll play it by ear and let's get her going. So, today we're going to talk about what happened. I'm hearing the clicking sound. What's going on?
I I don't. Yeah, I know. Hang on a second. Let me see. Hang on. How's that?
Much better. Much better. Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the outrageous comments by the public at Aurora City Council meeting this week. And this was the first meeting of the new mayor and the newly elected council people. And some of the comments these people made to their newly elected mayor and council people, it just boggles the mind. One person went up and said, "Why do you want to kill the poor, minorities, and gays?"
What?
Yeah,
Really?
really. And then some
Yeah.
other guy came up who happens to be a school teacher, made outrageous comments like that. It just,
Well.
what is going on with people today? Why, why the,
Well. My opinion is once they legalized pot, we found out what the true personality of most of these knotheads that are on the liberal side are, and they're just uneducated buffoons.
right,
So,
right.
you know, I've said it all along. Our generation has a lot to answer for. Once we started this ball rolling. It's a civil disobedience type thing, and we started heading down. I mean, you and I both know liberalism started way before us. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
watched shows where I've seen it was. I mean, it was started. The anarchist was the beginning of what Antifa is now.
right. Mm-hmm.
And that was prevalent in the late 1800s. You
Yep.
know, and Canada. I was watching some of the show. Canada, there's one of the shows I watch is, and it's semi-historical. Uh, Part of the one of the big leading things is there's a couple of guys that actually no, this is in Australia. Come to think of it, and they had socialists in Australia. Actually Bolsheviks
Right.
that were Australian citizens, and but they supported the party line. You know,
Right.
and this was like in the Roaring Twenties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's all over the world. It's just been going on. But we as a country, once we started the whole free love hippie thing, which I'm still ticked off about because I was just almost a little late for that party, uh,
Same here.
you know. But once we started down that road, it's like put the genie, trying to put the genie back in the bottle. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
And like I said, it all comes down to education. Uh,
Mm.
our generation, we were the hippies, and now we're teaching these kids, and we're teaching them all this crap about, oh, we can't respect those people's views. They're evil. They have to be stopped at all costs. And it's like there's no civil discussion
There's no
about
civility.
our differences and where we could kind of meet together and get things going. Let's say hello to Chris Hope, Ron Lockwood, and Mitch, old guy in a drone. Welcome, welcome.
Hey guys, I can't read the chats because I'm on my cell phone. That's why I've got this. I'm still mad. I'm at 27% on the update. It's sitting there just a little. It's spinning in. I go to restart it.
right?
Don't turn off. It's like,
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
I hate those when that.
I didn't know it was going to do that, or I wouldn't have restarted. But I was having some problems trying to get
Mhm,
something to work, so I thought, well, I'll reboot it, which I always do before your shows.
right.
And yeah, so I'm not wearing any headsets, nothing fancy. You guys see, it's my office. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
Well, you sound pretty good. You're a little bit choppy, but it's not bad
yeah,
for what you're doing on your cell phone there.
yeah. I just happen to have a tripod here that I can just put it on, so I don't have to hold it or anything, and put it in. Like I said, it's. I wanted to get on here. I if Mel hadn't called, I may have been late anyways, but he called me earlier and we got to talking because he'd heard I was down on my back and having problems with
Oh,
walking and stuff. So he didn't want me to have to, uh, stress myself. I said, no, I got enough sleep last night and I'm doing okay. But
that's good.
my back's not hurting as much, but my legs aren't cooperating. So I think part of it, the problem is my MS has decided to, rear its head a little bit. And
Sorry to hear about that.
it's life.
Yeah,
You got stuff you have to deal with. I just
yeah.
have. This is something that just set me
Hmm.
back for a few days. So,
Hmm.
anyways,
That's true. All right, back to the show. So yeah. So now we're hearing outrageous comments by public people who don't really represent, the majority of people. They're the activists that go to just about all the city council meetings or the legislative sessions and board meetings to sit,
right?
and I mean, back in the day when we were kids, it's usually some old lady complaining about trash pickup or the condition of the street in front of her house. Why aren't the streets plowed and blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
Yeah,
it's devolved into this animosity, this uncivil discord that we have to.
yeah,
I kind of feel sorry for the folks on our side that are on these either city council boards or uh, state sessions and have to deal with that kind of crap.
yeah. And you got to have thick skin to be in politics, anyways. The problem is the reason there's so much uh, uh, in what they say is because they have no arguments. They have no logical
Yep,
down
that's
to earth.
right.
It's like, all right, when you were kids in the schoolyard and you guys would, you start out and you say, I don't like you because you copied off of my math. And well, I don't like you because, well, you got the answers wrong. And then pretty soon you say, well, you shouldn't have copied off my, well, you shouldn't be ugly. Now, what does me being ugly have to do with the
Yeah.
fact that you cheated? It comes back on me. I'm an ugly person, so obviously it's my fault that he flunked the math test. He copied off me. Well, I flunked it too, but hey, that's my problem, and it's his problem that he copied. But see, that's the fact. The fact is he because he copied off of my math. I flunked because I didn't do my homework right.
Hmm.
Okay, or I didn't study.
Yeah,
It had nothing to do with he didn't study. But now it's the fact that I'm ugly that caused all this
right,
problem, and it has zippity doo nothing to do
right.
with
Well,
the damn issue.
and that kid's the dumb one for sitting next to you. He
Exactly,
should have
it's his
known.
fault for
Don't look at Lloyd's paper. He's an idiot.
yeah,
Look at the
yeah,
other guy on your other side.
yeah. That's where their attitude is now. They're into name calling because they have zero logic
Yep, that
uh,
is so
when it comes
true. That is so true.
to their arguments. I mean, truth and logic. I mean, it's like the science of global warming and all different types of sciences. You know, we, of course, I was an minister, and one of the things that I learned years ago when I started studying is anybody can take a quote out of the Bible and make it say exactly what you want out of the
Right.
or
That's
out of
right.
the.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep Mitch involved out of it. You can take that and use that for your own argument. It doesn't mean that it's a truthful argument. It just means you've used what you want out of it and thrown away the rest.
Right.
And this is what they've done with global warming, done with politics, and they're and the matter what it's right. This is what this place Satan will defeat the world by a lot of hatred and animosity and all of this garbage to go on. He's the infiltrator. I mean, he's the I feel he's the one who is pushing this agenda. Of course, it goes back to we got people. We'll advertise somebody like George Soros to push the agenda. I mean, he's right down. He probably sits back and drinks tea with Satan himself. But I know we don't talk religion very much here, but sometimes I think that once we quit following our souls and using quit being humane to people, end up with this garbage.
Yep. That is so true. And and I just lost train of thought there. I was thinking about something. I was going to go there.
Squirrel.
Yeah, I had my squirrel moment. But yeah, it's like you said, they don't have a logical argument to refute what you just said, so they have to resort to calling you doo-doo head, basically.
Yeah.
And but there are some liberals that are pretty intelligent people. They know how to hold a cogent dialogue, and they're pretty good people. It's just some of these people who just don't think logically, they think emotionally, and they get all caught up in the situation and go off nuts.
Yeah. It's I was looking because my keyboard started flashing. It means this thing may be finally fired back up.
All right. Well, if it does fire up and everything looks good,
I'll leave and jump back on.
All right, we'll take a short little break, and then you can get situated. And
it's still firing up, so I'm gonna wait and see if it's going to start and stop again. No, it just restarted to add another 3%. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah. God, I don't know what it's installing, but anyways. Yeah. I mean, you've got the intelligent, the intelligent liberals that are the trainers for the unintelligent liberals.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to fire up the emotion. I mean, a lot. I said that, as long as the man had a teleprompter,
right.
Obama was a great speaker.
Yep, that's true.
He was very good. But if you listen to look and listen to tapes of Adolf Hitler when he's just talking, he sounds nothing like the man shouting and getting the sea cows from everybody else. That was a different way of speaking, and you have to control a crowd.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And in his puppet, we know he wasn't. Anyways, he was trained to, and someone higher than him was far more intelligent. Because now that he's out of office, you notice that not a lot of great stuff is coming out with him. Of course,
Right.
now it's looking like, well, Obama's, now you got Obama and Biden fighting each other, and they're,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, yeah, we all knew that Biden, you know, yeah, he had the most uncontrollable mouth of anybody that's ever served in the Senate or as a
Yeah.
VP, and he's just, to me, he needs to retire. But anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, these guys trained, and Obama was one of those that was trained.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so when the push come to shove, he didn't have a lot of original thought. He had a
Mm.
lot of great people working for him to make him sound good.
Mhm.
And this is what all the liberals are doing. It's all part of their great. It's I call it the Mao Zedong effect.
Yep.
Because the Red Book.
Mhm.
Those of us that grew up with Mao Zedong remember the Red Book and the Red Youth,
Mhm.
movement that they had over there. That was training, and I think that's what we've got here.
And also Obama used another tactic of underhandedness of going after his opponent by unsealing documents to use them against his opponent, and that's how he was able to get that state senate seat. And then after that, when he ran for Senate, he did that against Ryan. He used his divorce records against him,
Right.
and that's just the way Democrats.
Well, yeah, that's part of the Chicago gangsters playbook.
Mhm.
He's out of Chicago. He's out of the that part of the world where but the Democrats, they've worked hand in hand with the mobsters
Yep, that's true.
for you know
For
I,
decades. Yeah.
yeah, for decades. Yeah, over
Yep.
half a century. They're the ones who got Kennedy elected.
Uh-huh. That's true.
And
Well, you have what's called the machine that worked there for many, many years that got Daley elected
yeah,
election after election. And when he passed away, there was a brief period when someone else was going to. Then his son took over,
yeah. I was gonna say, didn't
and
his take
he was
over? Is
in
what I
for quite a while. And
yeah.
then Obama's right-hand man becomes mayor, and now they got another schmuck running the city, and it just,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's where that's see that's why to me liberalism isn't a it's a more of a mindset because they just don't have the facts and they're going to attack. And
mhm,
it goes back to that old saying: if you tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth.
yep, that's right, and
And
that was that the thing that I always say to people when they make a statement that I know is not the truth or
right,
factual. I tell them right off the bat, telling the same lie over and over is still not the truth.
well, yeah, and there's a second half of that I like that somebody wrote it in. I can't remember where I was. It's in the chat I was watching last night or something, but it might have been on your chat. Somebody wrote it, but uh, it's repeating the same mistake over and over with the same with but expecting a different
Yeah,
result is the first sign of insanity.
that's true. Mhm.
So those two go hand in hand. They're doing the same thing. They're saying the same thing over and over. I keep glancing over here thinking this thing's going to fire up before this
Yeah,
show's
that
over.
I was just like about ready to say, how you
It's
doing?
at 89%. It's finally made it up to 89%, so it should be firing up here pretty soon.
Okay,
But
great,
uh,
great. I mean, not the phone is
no, it's
okay.
aggravating to me. Barely, I'm using this if and I'm having to use my bifocals, and I can't see the chat. So sure, there's some great
Okay,
in the chat. Uh,
right.
because that's one thing. Mitch is an enjoyable guy. All the guys, who Chris and who else?
Ron Lockwood and
Ron Lockwood.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are three very intelligent guys.
Right.
And good to see them in the chat. Like I said, I read their comments, but
And Rodney
yeah,
Bell is another guy like mine, and Steve
yeah,
Carpenter.
I've got my on today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So back to you, Art. I forgot what the hell I was talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about people of like mind that usually show up for our shows, like Chris Hope and Ron
Yeah.
Lockwood and Mitch and all the rest that show up.
Oop.
But
Am I back? All right.
yeah, you're back. You're still here. You're a little
Okay.
choppy right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it just redid itself, and it hesitated for a second. As soon as this thing's through, it's at 89%. So maybe it'll get fired up before the end of the show.
Awesome.
I'm hoping. I am so sorry about this. I've never, and this is the first time I've used StreamYards on my phone, so I didn't know how well it worked. I knew.
Okay.
So I had to, it's an iPhone, so I had to open it up in the whatever the browser is that iPhone uses. My mind's got. I'm not playing with a full deck, guys, because I've had to take muscle relaxers for about a week now just to get my back.
Boy.
And after a while, they start getting sort of they start affecting my thinking pattern. So I'm a little slow on the draw today.
Okay. No problem.
But yeah.
Mitch says you were telling us how smart we are. LOL.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's true though. Those are the three guys that you mentioned: Ron Lockwood, Chris Hope, and Mitch. They're three what I consider the intellectuals of the group. They all have something good to say usually in the chat, and I'm just really bummed that I can't read the chat. But
yeah.
Okay.
How are we doing over there?
Well, I'm fixing to find out. Let me just keep talking for
a minute.
All
right. Well, everybody, we're doing all right. We're muddling through some issues here, but hang in, and we'll get her taken care of. All right. So moving on, let's go to our next subject: impeachment. You were wrong, Lloyd. You said they weren't going to go through with it, and Nancy Pelosi is moving forward, and they're going to onward and upward. Let's run
the other side of that
Titanic into the iceberg.
Well, the other side of that was what part of my thinking, and maybe I didn't say that. I didn't think she'd go through with it because, at least not before Christmas, But I was real surprised that she did. But the other side of that thinking was she may be going through. Now they said the reason she hasn't presented it for a vote yet is she doesn't have enough votes. But even if they do, because things have changed a little bit in the last couple of weeks. It's the fact that some of the people, their base, their constituency, which is, we're talking about Schiff, who's out of Hollywood. Well, that explains a lot right there.
Right.
And
over there, Lloyd, are we almost at 100%?
Yeah.
And then
I'm waiting for it to fire up the last of the stuff because it has to load everything up, and then because if I rush it, then I have issues and I got to restart.
That's true. Yeah,
I'm gonna take my time.
Can't rush it. So.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with you, Mitch. Mitch says, I knew they were stupid, but I didn't think they were that stupid. And you know what? Democrats just gave us the biggest gift of them all. This could really just come back to haunt them. Remember when we impeached Bill Clinton? what happened to the
Yeah,
Republicans after that? We lost both
the
houses.
Republican Party.
Yeah, and I think this is going to come back to haunt them big time because of their animosity and their unwillingness to let the Republicans call their witnesses or subpoena uh, their people. They wanted to subpoena Adam Schiff, and they wouldn't allow that. So
Well,
it's
they're
all
not allowing it in the House, but once it goes to the Senate, because once it's passed the House, it has to go to the Senate for trial. This is just basically the indictment, okay? But the actual trial, of course, takes place in the Senate, which you know. And what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to subpoena Adam Schiff to find out his role in this. Uh,
right.
you know, so uh, I had something come up. I had, you remember the old blue screen of death?
Oh boy, I hate that.
Yeah, I had one pop up.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know. The update didn't do something. So
Oh no. Yeah.
and would
Well, you want to hear something really disturbing about this?
what's that?
Uh, one of the congressional members, I forgot who it was, said that, well, even if the Senate acquits him and he's reelected, we could still impeach him again. I'm like going,
Yeah,
oh my God, these people won't stop. They're just gonna run this thing into the ground.
yeah,
And I think I'm hoping that next year when we have our elections, that the Democrats lose the House, that we gain seats in the Senate, and that's it. Then Trump has
yeah,
a couple more pretty good years, and then he could really start going to work on judicial nominations. You know,
yeah,
getting those
yeah.
people seated. And I think that is the main reason why they want to stop him
Oh
because
yeah,
they
yeah.
were
No
able
doubt about
to stop and slow down George Bush's nominations. And then what we had a few knotheads on our side that helped the Democrats along by, holding up the proceeding. And so now that if things work just right, we will have control over who gets seated in the district
right.
courts, the
Yeah, the district
appellate
courts, the
court,
appeals courts,
yep,
and the Supreme Court.
yep, and the Supreme Court. And I, heaven forbid, I don't see Ruth Bader Ginsburg uh, being around another 4 more years.
Well, I honestly think that Ginsburg is only staying alive to see if they can impeach him. If they can't impeach him, she's going to go ahead and say, "Well, I'm dying now."
Yeah, yeah, she'll,
I honestly think her hatred towards Trump, towards conservative values, is is the whole reason that she's staying alive. I mean, some people have that drive.
yeah,
I,
that's
I
true.
hate to sound, bad, but I honestly think that's what she's doing.
Hmm. That's true because then it it shifts the balance of the Supreme Court way to the right, and that's got the Democrats uh, crapping the pants over this. They don't
Right.
want Trump to nominate another conservative to the Supreme Court, and really it'll make it what 6-3, something like that.
I think so. Or is it seven? Is it 7-2?
I think it's 5-4 right now.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
All right.
not because of Anthony Kennedy. He left and he was replaced with another conservative. So, uh, yeah, Trump installed two pretty solid conservatives on the Supreme Court. I just wish Bush would have had that good luck. And
Yeah.
he
No.
got Roberts in, and he's turned out to be a major disappointment. Mhm.
Okay.
So,
I think I'm ready to. I think I'm ready to switch.
alrighty. So you want me to bump you out and
I'm going to enter
oh,
right now,
yes. I
and
see.
then I'll leave this
Okay.
one.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Lloyd is here. Now if we could
I feel.
now we could have your sound linked up.
Do what?
Oh, there we go. Okay, now you're synced with the sound. Okay.
Oh, okay.
For a second there. All right, much better.
All right. Let me get to YouTube and find so I can get
Yeah.
to the chat.
Yeah, Arts Place Live number 36.
Yeah.
Mm.
What is going on?
So
let me refresh.
yeah, there we go.
There we go. Ah, there it is, right there. Okay, let me get my chat popped out.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. You know, when you got two monitors and you got all this garbage to look at, it is. All right. And of course, as Ken says, always put it on live chat.
Yep.
All right.
True. That is true. Yeah, and that's what I gotta do as well. Okay. Great.
Yeah. All right, we're good to go. So
Okay.
that was a little interesting little experiment.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Democrats have given us the golden egg that could really help us out. And so basically, what are they impeaching him over? Oh, I don't know. What is it that I mean, it's not Russia. It's not Russian collusion. Abuse of power. And,
Yeah. Abuse of power.
abuse of power. That is so subjective. And
Well,
does that fit into high crimes and misdemeanors?
what has he done to abuse his power? I
Yeah.
mean, this is the problem. They're using his call. You know, I saw something the other day in which they were discussing. You know, they were going ahead because this person and that person and somebody else heard that he had said this to the president of the Ukraine, and so they thought, we got him. We're going to go with this. You had Adam Schiff, who was helping set up his whistleblower.
Yep.
Getting that all set up. That was a scam to begin with.
Yep.
And
Then the
so,
Republicans blew it apart.
well, the first thing that happened as soon as they started announcing what they were going to do, he released the transcripts. Nobody expected that.
Yep.
And
That contradicts everything.
everything that they were saying. Yeah.
Yep.
So it was and they are trying to stay one step ahead of Trump, and every time they take what they call, I think they consider calculated risk.
Yep.
But as soon as they do, Trump, he's smarter. Everybody knows. I mean, Trump's not stupid. Everybody knows that they're recording his conversations. They do it for a couple of reasons: to make sure that they're not abusing power, and
Yep.
two, to make sure that they've got it for
Correct.
cooperation. Yeah, cooperation that says, okay,
Mhm.
listen, I didn't say this to the. I don't care what the Ukraine president says or
Yep.
or blah 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 says.
Mhm.
This is here's the truth, and that's what I did say that if Nancy did bring because she painted herself into a corner, okay,
Yeah.
and she had to do something to placate the goon squad or whatever those
Yeah.
idiot rods
Mhm.
are called. anyways, so in order to placate them, they're going to have to do something. So
Mhm.
what they did is she said, "All right, we'll do it. Put it in committee." And committee was a joke. Everybody knew that it was a waste.
Uh-huh.
And but my thought was that one of the reasons she may bring it is because she knows she'll lose.
Mhm.
They may get it through uh, the House. They
Right.
might,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of people that are in Trump districts that are Democrats that are up for reelection, and
Yeah.
they're starting to get cold feet.
Yeah, that's
And
true. So it could be a pretty
now,
close.
do they have to pass by a simple majority, or do they
I
have to
think
have
so.
just a
Yep.
simple majority? Well, see,
50
that's the difference. When it gets to the Senate, they have to have a major majority or a super majority.
super majority. That's
Yeah.
right.
So they
So
got to have what, 70,
67, 66.
67? Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
So
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah. And they don't have that many votes. The only way they have it is if you got a bunch of no Trumpers
Right.
up there that,
Yeah.
you know, but she might be doing this just to weed out some of those that are becoming too out of control on the
Yeah.
far left, because
Oh, who could
there's,
that be?
yeah, right.
AOC?
AOC. Yeah.
Yeah. Omar
Yeah.
and that other idiot from Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that got,
Mitch says they do have Romney, and they're right. Yeah, he's
yeah.
right. Romney,
Oh, he's been such a major disappointment for me because I supported him
yeah,
when
see, I never did. I was until the election, and I never felt that. I felt that he was shoved, you know, he was
yeah,
shoved at us,
yeah.
So,
Mm.
but
Well, I mean, after that first debate, he was on fire,
oh
and
yeah,
it's kind of he kind of pulled back, and then Obama was able to, shoot ahead, and
well, that's because he had advisors that were telling him, you come on a little too harsh, they might not vote for you, and you know
yeah,
that's been the problem with the Republican Party for the last 40 years at
oh yeah,
least. We're too, you know, uh, some people I think you might equate to the fact that a lot of the Republicans are Christian fundamentalists or Christians, and they like turn the other cheek.
yep,
Well, read your Bible, folks. I think Jesus walked into the market and just threw the tables everywhere, and he was, kicking butt and taking names. It's time we do the same thing. Turning the other cheek's okay, but you got four cheeks, and after they're gone, you can't turn anymore.
Well, did you see Pelosi's news conference the other day where she just went off on that one reporter? And
Yeah,
oh man,
yeah. There was a couple of them. I saw that one, and then I saw the Biden one,
yeah.
where Biden wants to do push-ups with the fat guy,
Oh
and
man,
he called him fat,
oh
and
man.
yeah, he because the thing was is the guy was a supporter of Biden,
Uh-huh.
but he had some serious questions about Joe Biden or about Hunter Biden and why he was getting paid that outrageous amount of money. And so he asked the questions that everybody's asking right now. And
Mhm.
this guy called him a damned liar. I mean,
Yeah.
Biden called him a damn liar. He, yeah,
Yep.
you know, and
It's an,
I never took Biden serious in the first place
yeah.
as a contender for the Democratic nomination because he's too old school. You know, he's old, senile, and white.
Yep. That's
Like
right.
most of the rest of the old farts up there in Washington. You know,
Well, look at all the candidates on the Democrat side. They're all white.
yeah.
Yeah.
They've got they have a couple. They have what's his name, Bebo, or whatever, Beto.
Oh, Beto, no, he dropped
Oh,
out
yeah,
quite a
he
while.
dropped out. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you're thinking of Buttigieg? The
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
The,
that guy.
that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, yeah. He's
Oh, that art. He's a hater. He's a fool.
yeah, yeah. I know. It's just they
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, normally the way and I was discussing this with I can't remember who it was the other day, but normally what they do is when they know they can't beat the Republican, they throw somebody under the bus for their nominee. They pick the guy that's least likely to win
Right.
and who they really don't want around. Well, the
Hmm.
last time they did that was with a governor from Arkansas
Yeah.
by the name of Bill Clinton. And this
Hmm.
guy didn't stand a snowball. And then all of a sudden, boom,
He's,
he was dropped in everybody's lap. And they're going, are you, and it took them a while to recover, but they started, they recovered pretty well. That was probably because they'd been kicked and stomped and everything since Jimmy Carter. And
yep.
now they thought they had another Jimmy Carter, so let's throw him under I think Jimmy Carter was another one that they threw under the bus,
Yep.
and they didn't think he would beat Ford, but
Well,
he did.
he was on the heels of Nixon, and that kind of,
That's what hurt Ford.
yeah,
Yeah.
because he pardoned Nixon.
Yeah, that's what killed it. Yeah, right
Yeah,
there,
I think
pardoning Nixon.
that,
Yeah.
and plus there was this anti-Republican wave that was starting,
Right, right.
and that's how you got a lot of radicals that got elected into the House and Senate.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, because it was just what the decade before or 2 decades
yeah,
before that you had the McCarthy uh,
yep,
time period, and these socialists wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't even their names. They first off, they wouldn't have even given their name.
yeah,
They would have never. Then by Jimmy Carter's time, we had them starting to infiltrate our, you know,
yep,
and
the
all of this in
state,
some ways is paybacks
yep,
back to
hmm,
McCarthyism.
hmm,
This is I'm having troubles getting used to having not having my mic. I'm used to having it, up here,
yeah.
you know. But now that I've redone it and have it pointed the right direction, you know, uh,
It's working great.
yeah.
It's working
But I'm
great.
used to having to look around it, and it's not.
Yeah. Well, I have the same problem with my camera right there.
Yeah, yeah,
I have all my stuff on the toolbar at the bottom, and I gotta
right,
look around. Okay, where am I? So I could click on that. And
yeah,
I have to go up over here to click on the icons. There, down here, I just click once and it comes up. Over
right,
there, click on the icon. You gotta do a double click.
yeah,
Get
yeah.
okay, so that's our uh, PC portion. Well, the
Yeah,
portion of the show.
yeah. Our
So
computer portion, because
back to
PC, we're not PC.
no, we're not PC at all.
Yeah,
So and that's what's going on. So impeachment is moving forward. Uh, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think he'll pass. Trump will be impeached, but he won't get convicted. I think after the first of the year they'll have the trial. I think the Democrats are thinking, okay, so we have the trial, and that'll keep the candidates in D.C. so they're not out there campaigning, and they could use that time to bash Trump even more. And then when they finally have the vote after the trial, which who knows how long that's going to last,
right.
and the Republicans will will win because uh, I think the Democrats won't get that super majority, and what end up happening is the public is going to get so ticked off. Well, you guys wasted all that taxpayer money on a hoax instead of getting things done.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. And that's going to be the story for the Republicans. They're going to say, see, look at what these folks did. They made up this fictional uh, excuse to impeach the president and tried to convict him, and then it blew up in their face instead of using that time to conduct the business they were supposed to do,
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
were elected to do.
Yeah, and that's the problem. They're not, I think you and I talked about this here. We might have talked about it last week about they haven't passed a budget since who knows when,
Yeah.
they've had a, they haven't had a, they just keep
Control.
doing extensions, doing those extensions. And, eventually people are going to get tired of that
Yeah.
and start saying, hey, when are you going to get, we need the people's business taken care of,
Right. Hmm.
and
All right. Moving along into our last topic of the day, we had a shooting at the Pensacola Naval Air Station by a Saudi national.
yep.
So, why
Yeah.
are we letting these people? I mean, didn't they learn anything with that Hassan guy? You know?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, it's further than that. Whoop, hang on just a
Okay.
second.
All right, folks. Yeah. So,
Yeah, let me go take care of her real quick, and I'll be
okay.
right back.
All right. I'll keep on
Yeah.
obliviating while you're taking care of business.
Okay.
Taking care of business. Anyway, folks. Yeah. So this guy kills three people, and now they've arrested several more Saudi nationals that may be involved in this uh, uh, attack, and they're calling it a terrorist attack. And I'm going, why are we letting people into the country, into places of, well, uh, military importance? I don't care if we're allies with them. You know, those people hate us. Well, not all of them. I'm talking about there are radicals that snuck in, and that's what happened on 9/11. We had Saudi nationals that started going to these flight training schools to learn how to fly a jumbo jet. And all what did they want to learn? They wanted to learn how to take off, not to land. I mean, you'd think an instructor would go, "Wow, that's kind of odd. Why don't you want to learn how to land?" That should have been screaming bells and whistles to say, "No, you're going to take the full course. You're going to learn how to land," and then they would just, you know, gone and dealt with it, and they would have just taken the full course. And that's where they made a mistake, was telling the instructor they just wanted to learn how to take off, you know, which is really, really dumb on their part. But yeah, you know, here we are, we're helping the Saudi government to train their Air Force pilots, yet some of those people are radicals. So they use that opportunity to kill Americans here. I think what Trump ought to do uh, now that this happens, say, all right, all Saudi nationals at our military installations are hereby expelled from the United States. And that'll take care of a lot of that. Not just Saudi nationals, but anybody that's from the Middle East. I know that sounds like I'm overreacting, but you know what? Sometimes you have to spray the whole crop, so to say, to make sure that little area isn't infested with disease carrying microbes or insects that could wipe out your whole crop. And that is my opinion of what should happen next. So we shouldn't have had those people. I mean, after 9/11, my God, those people should have been expelled after that. Even, George W. Bush should have taken the precaution to say, you know what, we can't have uh, Islamists or people of. And I know it's a bad thing to think about that we're excluding a group of people because just a few have messed it up for the rest. But hey, that is life. That's how things go. You have. I'll give you an example. Uh, when I was in high school, when I was a freshman, we had a jukebox in the cafeteria. And that was where I was influenced by Led Zeppelin and Nazareth, my favorite rock bands. And what happened? Some kid kicked in the speakers because he wasn't able to get the song he wanted. What happened? We lost the jukebox. That one person screwed it up for the rest of us. So that is my comparison of why Saudi nationals or people of Islamic faith should not be on our military bases.
Well, yeah, I agree. The other thing is I think we need to really reconsider teaching our enemy how to fly our aircraft. You know, uh, it's been this. We've been doing this since the '70s. You know, I've mentioned before how uh, I've met several. They were Iranian pilots,
Right?
and we were still. You know, the Shah was still in power. We were still allies with them, and one guy I met, he was getting paid by the Saudi government because he was a royal,
Oh,
and he was getting paid by the American government, you know, and the Air Force. You know, he was getting a diplomat's pay, he was getting
oh, good.
pay from the royal family, and he was getting military pay. All three,
Oh, he
you
was
know,
double, triple
he was
dipping.
triple
Wow.
dipping, yeah.
Where
And
do
then it
I
was
sign
just
that
that was
program?
yeah, that was at the beginning of my, in like 74. That's the beginning of my military career. And by the time uh, I was getting towards the end, you know, said pilot was probably flying against us, you know,
Mhm.
because the, well, no, that one was Saudi, but several of the Iranian ones ended up flying against us because, you know, it was the young, and this goes to show how stupid these movements are because like in Iran, it was the young that were thought that the old men didn't know anything. Let's get rid of them and let's go far right because, you know, our women are dressing too skimpy and blah blah blah. And they took the young students that fought against people like the Shah, and the Shah wasn't a nice guy, okay?
Yeah.
He wasn't, but we should have supported the government
Yep.
nonetheless, and we wouldn't
That's
have had
right.
that mess, you know.
Mhm.
So, but for God's sakes, quit training the enemy's pilots. You know,
Yeah,
I mean
that's right.
that right there is. But yeah, I haven't seen a lot of news pop-ups about that story. Once they found out he was a Saudi national, uh,
Mm.
it didn't fit the narrative because, you know.
Yeah.
So uh, CNN, MSNBC, all the liberal media, they just kind of like, eh.
Eh,
And it
yeah,
dropped down to the bottom of the. If you watch their channel or you see their,
the
you know,
feeds.
you've got the app, yeah, and you
Yeah.
look at their, you know, suggestions. So it dropped way down right after
Yeah.
within
Mhm.
well, right after that conference, that they said that he was a member of the Saudi national. You know, he was a Saudi national. You know,
Right.
boom. Okay, let's get that
Mhm.
one out of the way. This guy's a minority. These are the people we're trying to show are great people, and he just killed. You know, what did he kill? Four,
Yeah.
three. He killed three.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah,
That's right. And it's just like what happened with Hassan. You know,
yeah,
now that guy, he's on death row right now. So uh, we'll see how long that lasts.
yeah,
How
yeah.
long it'll be before that sentence is carried out. At least with Timothy McVeigh, I mean, it didn't take that long before he was
Right,
executed.
right. Yeah. Well, he also quit appealing too. He said, "Okay," and but he played a game. You know, whether it was real or not, whether he expected the outcome. He says, "But you'll never know how deep this goes." I think we're starting to learn.
Right. Mhm.
You know, living in Oklahoma, Timothy McVeigh. You know, there's a lot of that. You know, we have the double it's anniversary, I guess, because you got, you know, we understood 9/11 because we knew how it impacted our state with the Murrah Federal Building. So
Mhm.
April 19th and then 9/11, those are two dates in Oklahoma's
Right.
history uh,
Mhm.
that really stick with you,
Yep.
you know.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, even in our state, they're starting to forget a lot of
Right.
this stuff. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, that's the thing about like Australia, New Zealand, even England. England, not so much now, but well, yeah, still a lot of it. They still celebrate the major military things that happened
Yeah,
in,
like
you know,
Anzac.
Anzac,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
Anzac and
Yeah,
Anzac Day.
I'm watching this program about World War I, and that was like the biggest debacle
Oh,
in
Gallipoli, yeah, yeah,
military history. And
yeah.
then on top of that, you're going to learn something else. There was another debacle after that, and that was the Battle of Kut in
Right,
Iraq when they
yeah,
sent uh, forces to try to take Baghdad. And they sent them there. Not enough men, not enough supplies,
yeah,
and they lost the battle. And uh, they were captured. Well, they surrendered, and then they were captured, and a big chunk of them died on the march to. I think they went to Basra, was the prisoner of war camp,
okay,
and
yeah, yeah,
but the general that was captured, well, he got to live a pretty nice life. They sent him up to Ankara, and he
right,
spent the rest of the war there. While, uh, but the group that fared better was the Indians because they lost fewer prisoners because a lot of them were Muslim as well. Because you
right,
got to
right,
remember, Pakistan was still part of India back then, so
right, right. Yeah, it was all part of India.
they had a big Muslim population there, and the Ottomans thought, well, maybe we could sway them to fight on our side.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that yeah, Anzac. It was uh,
The Battle of Gallipoli.
yeah, Battle of Gallipoli. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Anzac stands for, you know, Australian New Zealand Army Corps,
Yeah. Mhm.
and you know, that was their first major battle and first major, you know,
Mhm.
as separate countries. You know,
Mhm.
not part of, you know,
Yeah.
that was their own division. But yeah,
Yeah.
uh, they really screwed things up there. But
Yeah, they did. It
you know,
was
Grant,
poorly
Mr. Stay Drunk, his
executed.
grandfather was there.
Yep.
So, you know, he,
But after Gallipoli, when they evacuated those folks, they ended up on the Western Front, and they
yeah,
got to fight with the Canadians, and then later on the Americans came in
Americans. Yeah.
1917, and I'm learning so much from this. I mean, you think about World War One as that mainly European, but you got to remember they were fighting in Africa
Oh
as
yeah,
well
yeah. They
because
were.
Germans had a colony in East Africa,
Yeah, yeah.
and they lost all those colonies. They also had colonies in the Pacific as well.
Really.
I
Now that
didn't know that either,
I
and
didn't know it either. Yeah,
because what happened was after the Franco-Prussian War, the Germans got territories from the French after that war.
yeah. That's right.
The
That's right.
French
Yeah,
lost. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And a lot of people called World War One. It was the
The Great War.
well, yeah, they called it the Great War, the war to end all wars, but it's also called the War of the Cousins.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
all of Victoria's grandkids were having
Yeah.
hissy fits.
Yeah. That's right. You had the Tsar of Russia, and then you
Russia,
had the Kaiser of Germany, and then
yeah,
you had the Habsburgs of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
yeah. Well, and then you
All
had, of course, then you had England.
in England. Yeah.
Yeah, the groups and the families that was just family infighting.
Mhm.
It was like a typical Thanksgiving American Thanksgiving dinner, except on a much larger scale.
Yep. Well, that was the beginning of the end of the major empires in Europe.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
well, it damaged the Dutch Empire because after World War II, they couldn't afford to keep their colonies in Indonesia
right,
and South America. They had Suriname, and the same with the British. But they were forward thinking enough to go, okay, we'll have this Commonwealth, you know,
right,
with Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and they had Hong Kong for many years. And
right.
just gave that up a few years ago, and
Yeah, yeah,
now those people are fighting for their independence. So
yeah, yeah. And
the,
well, India was still part of the.
yeah,
India was still part of they're part of the Commonwealth, and they're still part of the empire up until
yeah,
and
1947.
47. 47 is where England lost everything. They lost India. They lost 46, 47. They lost Israel
Oh,
or Palestine.
yes, yeah,
You know.
yeah. That was 48 when they
Was that
became.
48?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. But between after the war, after World War II, their empire just went to nothing, and the best they could do was keep the Commonwealth together.
yeah. Well, and during the 60s and the 70s, they started giving up. They started granting independence to their uh, colonial states in Africa.
Yeah, yeah,
And same with France. France did the same. They gave up Algiers and Morocco
yeah.
because they just didn't have the means
Well,
of holding on to these colonies because, well, they were
France,
in debt due to the wars.
yeah, made one major mistake when they did that, though. When they dropped Morocco and Algiers, they gave all of the Moroccans and the Algerians citizenship in France, which
Right.
meant they could just come over. Okay, yeah, you're a French citizen. So now that's why they've had all these. France had so many. Here just a while back, was it 5, 6 years ago? They had all those street burnings.
Yeah.
Cars set on fire in protest.
Mhm.
Those were French Moroccans or Algerians that were Muslims that had French citizenship because it was granted to them.
Yeah.
You don't give. Maybe they were trying to be like Rome, where once you conquered a nation, everybody there became a Roman citizen.
Right.
You know, and they were trying to do that, but not in today's times. Not
Yeah.
after. I mean, back in the days, part of what that's part of what caused the fall of Rome.
Mhm. Yep.
You know,
Oh, and
and
look at what happened to French in Indochina.
yeah,
Their colonies in French Indochina after they were defeated at Dien bien fu.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't know I could say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
But
So yeah, so World War One started, and then World War Two finally just finished off
yeah,
all the major empires, and what was left is United States and Russia as the two superpowers.
superpowers. Yeah.
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 Well, you could consider Great Britain and France and those countries superpowers because they had the nuclear capability.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they still had pretty solid navies as well and air forces. So,
And welcome Rodney Bell. I just saw him pop into
oh,
the
Rodney
chat.
Bell, welcome,
Got your
welcome.
shirt on here, Rodney. uh, yeah.
Yeah, and just wanted to let you know Broncos are ahead of the Texans 38-23 with 25 seconds left in the game.
Yeah. Well, that's funny.
And Jeff is not happy.
Do what?
Jeff is not happy.
Jeff's not happy.
Yeah, I was really rubbing it in early in the game when they 7-0. Hey, scored. Oh, 14-0 because of a fumble return for a touchdown. And he goes, okay, I love you, but hey, I go, okay. So I stopped rubbing it in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
after every touchdown, I go, woohoo! Or, oh my.
Yeah. Yeah. I gave Chris hope. Yeah. Cause I was watching, on Oz by Drone. I was reading the chat
Yeah, the
and they're,
OU Baylor game, yeah.
yeah. And
Mhm.
they were talking, he was saying, go Baylor. Uh, You're quite welcome, Rodney. It was one that was clean for a change. So I grabbed it. I wanted, I try to wear a different shirt each show I do, when I do live shows.
Well, you
So,
did a good job ironing
well,
it.
this was one, it got put, I took all my clothes to the laundry and they folded it, which normally it hangs up. And I haven't pulled out the steam iron yet to iron any of the, I'm a guy, okay?
Yeah,
I just don't do, and I wasn't the one pulling.
look at
I pulled it right out of the,
I'm
yeah.
deplorable today.
What I probably should have done was thrown it in the dryer first with a damn
There you
cloth,
go.
but
Yeah.
I was barely getting around. And
Yeah, you just kind of hung it up wet and said, hey, let it air dry.
yeah, that's
Kind of get
it.
that nice stiff feeling when you get
Yeah. Well, like I said, they folded, I had a lot of laundry and they just, I paid them to, just
Right.
take care of it. And, which actually wasn't a bad price because,
Yep.
for what I had done, they included the soap and, pardon me. But yeah, I was reading that chat. And so yesterday I didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, I forgot it was on.
Mhm.
I'm not, but yeah, Rodney, Boomer Sooners, exactly. And so our housekeepers came over yesterday, and I heard them talking about it, and they said it went into overtime, and they told me, what the score was, and so I just immediately picked up my phone. I said, "Is it me or does Baylor suck?" And I said that to Chris Hope.
Well, last night I went to see a friend's band play. I haven't seen them in quite a while. And while they're playing, they had one of the TVs on showing the college football games, and they were showing the Baylor OU game. And I go, oh yeah, Lloyd talked about that.
Yeah. They were talking about it, and like I said, I saw it in the chat when I was behind the scenes with on Greg's show.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
And you did a good job with the stuff.
Well, and did you hear the story that about John? Did you hear this? Because
oh yeah, about being an astronaut. Oh,
astronaut,
God, that was so funny.
Well, most of us know John from his show and don't realize that he's actually he comes from a very famous Australian
Oh yeah,
family.
I know.
Just yeah,
After you told me that, I went back to YouTube and saw some of his
James.
stuff. I'm
Yeah,
like, and his brother, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
James
oh,
is really the big musician, whereas John became the pilot. There's an interview that John gives, and he tells a lot about he made the decision to go into piloting and to do the music sort of on the side. But
yeah,
they actually came to the United States and did the whole
right,
did the whole jazz circuit
right,
throughout the United States and then went back over. So yeah, there. But I just know John as John because I've got to talk with him in the
yeah,
green room, and
mhm,
when I started asking him that, I said, and I hadn't talked to him because he'd been gone for a couple of weeks,
yeah,
and either I'd missed him or something. So I asked him that. Well, the guest had stepped away, and so John starts telling the story, and then he comes. I said, "What do you guys talk about? Rocket rides or something?" And he said, and Greg says, "Hold that until after the show." Or till the end, till the show, and we'll do it on the. That's why he brought me in because Greg, I think, might have heard it, but he'd forgot about it. And
right.
it was just such a good story
Oh
because it puts a whole
yeah,
different God
and
putting a plastic bag on your head.
well, I'm like, when you suffocate, no, you try it over, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it reminded me of when I was a kid. Yeah, we would do something like that. And it
Yep.
also you remember the Little Rascals?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
totally reminded me of
Yeah.
some of the stuff they did.
Yeah. Little Rascals, our gang.
Yeah,
I just loved those shows as a kid growing
yeah,
up,
me too. Me too.
and uh yeah, that's what it reminded me of is so much like that. And
Yeah.
I just
Oh
when I
yeah, all that gunpowder and fireworks. I'm like, oh
oh yeah,
God,
it was he's
had no
lucky
clue what was going on.
he's lucky all he got was his butt beat.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. But
But
uh,
you live, you learn.
yeah, when my dad was a kid, you could buy black powder at the hardware store.
Oh
All
yeah,
you,
yeah,
all you have to do is, and they had it in a wooden barrel right next to
yeah,
the counter, and they had a brass scoop, and they
right.
would say how much you need, and they would put some in the paper bag, and then
Hmm.
on the scale, and they go there. There was no age restriction on that.
No,
My
no.
dad was 12 years old buying black powder fuse and primer.
Yeah,
You know what he
for blowing
did?
stumps, right?
Well, yeah, that's part of it, but they made their own pipe bomb. They took a T,
Right.
a
Yeah, yeah,
pipe, and they screwed off both ends, and then the
right.
middle, they drilled a hole. They drilled a hole while the powder was in it. And I'm like, going, holy crap, even
Yeah.
time. And they did that, and they stuck the fuse in, and they had something to put around it. So uh, they went down to their favorite fishing hole, and they lit that thing
Ah,
and it in
dynamiting for fishing. Yeah,
a, a big boulder or big trees, and kaboom, and water just went
yeah.
up like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
Then all these dead and stunned fish on the surface, they just grabbed the
Grab
biggest
them. Yeah, yeah.
one, and they filled up their baskets on their bites. That's when they had either the basket on the handlebars.
Right, right.
They'd go home and everybody is saying, "Wow, we just caught them down at the fishing hole over here.
Yeah, yeah,
You guys did really good."
yeah.
Then they get
That's
home and the parents said, "Boy, yeah, we heard a big noise this afternoon. You boys know anything about that?" No, we know nothing about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the stuff. Well, even even when I was young, you could still buy black powder in a can for your muzzle loaders. That's when muzzle loaders came back, and they really, when they first started out, Thompson Center made the first store bought muzzle loader that you could buy, and it was a full muzzle loader. It wasn't one of these breech loads that
Yeah,
they've come out with since, but they looked like the original thing, and I had one, and so I still have a muzzle loading pistol uh,
yeah,
that
cool.
yeah, but it's back in my closet back there at the other end of the house. But yeah, matter of fact, I've still got a. Now that I think about it, I still got uh,
A pound
oh
of
yeah, a
black powder.
pound or so of black powder sitting back there. It's probably no good anymore.
Well, my dad was an antiques guy. He loved making furniture,
Right,
and
right,
he built a Kentucky rifle.
yeah,
He he got the plans and everything, and he got the curly maple and
uh huh.
stained. I mean, and
My
then he browned the barrel and the action, and
yep,
he had a flintlock, and
yep,
it was a 50 caliber.
yep. My brother built. He built a lot of uh muzzle loaders. He was doing it he was doing it as a hobby, but he was also doing it because you know, he'd make a little money off of it. And he did the same thing. He hunted with his flintlock, and I think he still hunts with the one he built.
Right.
And but then here, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago, I guess, he got into building longbows. You know,
Oh,
and he makes them out of
birch.
uh, no, not birch,
Oh, yeah.
not
Oh,
what is it?
hickory.
No, no, because hickory's no, it's I'll think of it. I'll
Okay.
I'll tell you later. But it's because uh I've got some here at the end of my house. I've been going. No, that's what he makes arrows out of. So yeah, he does use. I think he uses birch, is what he uses, and he's made. He'll sit down and he'll get a piece of wood out and he'll start carving
Yep.
it, and it's not a recurve bow. It's just a straight long bow that
Mm,
and we've got one that he gave to Judy. She'd been asking him for one, and when we went up and saw him, she's got the only one that she's been allowed. She's the only one that he's ever allowed to pick out their own bow. He had about four of them there,
mm,
and he said, "Here's this one's got this, and this one's got that, and that one's." And she looked at one. She says, "I like that one." And so he gave it to her. He signs them and numbers them, and I think hers is number 29.
right.
So and but normally he'll start working on a bow, and then he'll think of somebody that you know this bow looks like it should be made for them. So he makes it for them, and makes off. He makes his own arrows,
Right.
and so yeah, but yeah, he did all that.
Do bow talk with Lloyd and Art.
I know, and we've gone over by.
Yeah.
We're
Okay. So, yeah, my dad even did the engraving on the brass for the patch box, and he made the ramrod out using two different kinds of wood and putting
right.
that. It, oh man! But I helped him on the pistol where I made the trigger guard, and we cast that out of silver. Because what I did is I carved the little acorn uh,
Oh,
on the end of the front end of the trigger guard where
right,
that goes
right. Yeah,
under the barrel. Anyway, because I was into lost wax casting because I was
right.
in jewelry class. I learned how to do that, and we made it in two pieces, and I was able to silver solder it together, and we filed and sanded it, and that came out really nice. So anyway, folks, just want to thank you everybody for coming in. Hope you enjoyed our discussion. I am working on actually getting some people on. I've got Ken Buck's email address. He is
Okay.
our congressman here in Colorado, and I've known Ken for 10 years, back when he was a DA up in Weld County. He
Right.
was candidate for Senate, lost to Michael Bennett. Now he's a congressman. And so I'm going to try and get, oh, he's also on the judicial committee. So he's part of the impeachment process. So
Oh
it'll be
yeah.
to
Yeah.
have him on. And got email to his secretary, Molly, who I've dealt with before. And I had him on my old radio show back in, I think it was 2010, 2011, somewhere
Right.
around there.
Right.
And yeah, he was a hoot to have on. So I'm going to work on getting him on and some other interesting.
Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
so
Cool.
it just, I just had so much stuff going on. So uh, stick around, Lloyd. I want to chat with you after the show.
Okay.
Buddy, thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
You all
absolutely.
a great Sunday and a good start to your week. Uh, God bless America and God bless this great state of Colorado. See you all next week. Bye bye.